Welcome to another episode of Diary of a Wannabe Comedian with me, Belle, a wannabe comedian. What can I talk about? So we've had Trooping of the Colour and we've seen Catherine, the Princess of Wales, out for the first time, formally out for the first time since Christmas, I think. And it was lovely to see her. I'm not a massive royalist. I used to be, but I'm not so much now. I do appreciate the role they have in keeping idiots out of being head of state. If we didn't have a royal family, then we'd have people like Rishi Sunak, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss. These people would have been heads of state. And I've already digressed. I've only been talking for about 40 seconds and I've gone off topic. What was the topic? Yes, so Catherine, it was an amazing statement that she put out talking about her struggle with cancer. And yeah, it really made me think. I've not had cancer myself, but I have been surrounded by family members who've had cancer and all stages of cancer. So those that have got into remission through to those that died fairly quickly after diagnosis. And it's a horrible disease, but it does unite everybody, clearly, just by the reception that she received. And also I read Rod Gilbert, he's my favourite comedian. I think he's brilliant. And he's had cancer of the throat, I think. And now he's doing his show, of which I have tickets, but not till 2025. So you'll have to hold off till you find out how his show went. And anyway, he stays around for an hour after every show to talk to people that have gone through the same thing. Now, isn't that sweet? I just think that's lovely. I mean, I always knew he was a lovely guy. You can just tell. You can tell when people are really nice, can't you? And I think Rod Gilbert, Catherine, both lovely. And then that begs the question, why them? But hey, that's quite deep. Let's get on something a bit more shallow, shall we? I've been to the cinema twice and it's been animation all the way. I went to see Inside Out 2 and I saw Ultraman Rising. Ultraman Rising, that was interesting. I was just in a cinema full of 8 to 12-year-old boys. So that was really weird animation, actually. It was 3D animation, but it was kind of done to look like a cartoon, so to look flat. And yeah, it was a Japanese thing and very odd storyline. But hey, I enjoyed it. It passed the time. Inside Out 2, that was a mixed bag for me. I mean, it was great animation. A little bit sort of, what happened to being entertained just for being entertained's sake? Everything has to have a message now, doesn't it? It was nice because it will empower little girls and I think that's all good. But for me personally, it brought back some memories of a trip I did in San Diego. So I went to see, there's a British guy who runs these retreats, which is basically making money out of women. And I went on his retreat and it was terrible. I had an awful time. I was very ill, got really bad food poisoning. And that, that happens. Happens to me a lot, to be honest, but happens. And I was just completely ignored. I'd paid a lot of money for this thing, this retreat. And they just, because obviously they didn't want a party pooper who was sick. So I got ignored. In fact, have you ever seen The movie The Beach? There's a scene in it where a guy gets attacked by a shark. And he obviously gets an infection and he's really being a bit of a party pooper. So they basically move him out and put him into a tent and they just forget about him. That's pretty much what happened to me on this retreat that was supposed to be all, bigging you up and making you feel good. Anything but. So, so I have mixed views because I do remember watching the first one over in San Diego as part of this thing. I had a gig last night and it went very well. It was really interesting. So it was a guy I've only met recently through someone else and he has links with climate change protesters and he ran this night specifically around climate change. So the audience, it was brilliant. There was loads of people in there. So that was great. For me personally, they were quite quiet. I've had this before. They were quite quiet, but you could see they were all really engaged. And I had quite a few people saying really enjoyed it, loved your set, so forth. Because mine, can be a bit of a thinker sometimes. In retrospect, I wish I'd done more of my maths set last night because that did go down quite well, you could tell. So I think they would have enjoyed more of that. But hey, you live and learn. Opening up the night was a guy called Marcus Decker, who's just come out of prison. So he was the guy who climbed up the Dartford Bridge. And I think he got quite a harsh sentence because the judge did not want copycat protests. But I don't know. I mean, I personally wouldn't do these protests. And it did cause a lot of disruption. I think it was something like 36 hours, something like that roads were closed anyway. So I know that it caused disruption, but I mean, that's the point, isn't it, when you're a protest? But I do have an issue with being in a country that would send somebody to prison for that. So, yeah, mixed views me. I think I'm too lazy to protest like that. But hey, fair play to the people that believe so passionately in something that they'll put themselves in that much of a firing line, because I know I wouldn't. But what he did do is he got us all singing, and here's a little snippet of him. See, I haven't done this. I haven't cut something in for ages. But here's a snippet of him.
Now the law's supposed to serve us, and so are the police. When that system fails, it's up to us to speak our piece. It takes eternal vigilance for justice to prevail. Now get courage from your convictions and let them haul you off to jail. Have you been to jail for justice?
The only other thing that I wanted to say was about, I said last week I wanted to write a piece about W.H. Smith's. I probably should explain. I don't know what the equivalent would be in other countries, specifically America, but W.H. Smith's is a shop that you just don't know why it's still around. It doesn't really know what it is. It sells everything. It's a real mixed bag. But it's been in the news this week because we've had an E. coli outbreak in this country and all sorts of food has been recalled. And now they've recalled a vegan wrap from W.H. Smith's. And I just think, who is the person that's buying a wrap from W.H. Smith's? Much love and gratitude.